My dear friends, all of you be blessed by the divine. From today, we are going to contemplate on the topic pleasure and pain are not separate as described by our Guru Tattvajnani VETHATHIRI Maharishi. Sensation. We are all living on earth. All of us wish to avoid pain and enjoy only pleasure. Unless we enjoy the secrets of life force and its psychic emergence, sensation, we cannot avoid pain and enjoy pleasure without encumbrance. Sensing faculty is a natural provision and an emergence in an organism. An organism is a phenomenon of joint function of life force and physical body. The process of conversion of life force into pressure, sound, heat, taste, and smell becomes a sensation in an organism. Fluctuations in the degree of sensation is experienced as pleasure when it is felt as harmony and as pain when it is felt as discomfort to the physical body. In fact, pain and pleasure are not separate. Secrets of life force. Any sensation up to a tolerable limit of the body is pleasure. The same sensation, when it is in excess of the tolerable limit, becomes pain. Let us go further deep on this subject to understand the secrets of life force. We see millions and millions of manifestations and appearances in the universe. All are nothing but the association of energy particles. The energy is the field of tiny particles of self rotative force evolved from the static state of nature. A vast and collective field packed up tightly with such energy particles is the universal field of electromagnetic waves. The energy is the life force. In its literal meaning, such a life force is fully filled up and functioning in all masses or manifestations, whatever be the form and intensity. The whole universe is one. The life force or energy in its functions within a mass or material object produces five kinds of results, that is, pressure, sound, heat, taste, and smell, in relative degrees according to the compound and structure of the object. The basic law of nature in the evolutionary process of universe is that everything from the smallest particle up to the greatest sun is existing and functioning with interlink by self-rotation, chain action and reflex action and result of all other manifestations of the universe. By this law, all the manifestations in the universe are linked or interlinked with one another. So, the whole universe is only one unit. No one object is all aloof and nothing remains unaffected by another force under this law. The life force in any mass or object is subjected to get aggravation according to the atmospheric disturbances. The life force in the physical body is always in the process of physical transformation into pressure, sound, heat, taste, and smell. Feeling of force in the flow of circulation of life force and its conversion into the above said five results is sensation. Such a sensation is always in fluctuation in a living being by the variation of the intensity of life force and by the aggravation in its physical transformation in response to the atmospheric conditions. Pleasure. Any such aggravation of life force in a living being which releases the surplus force or throws away the unwanted, stagnated, or excess remains of the physical body without affecting the molecular arrangements in the limbs and senses is felt as harmonious sensation. This sensation is called pleasure. Pain. Feeling the deficiency of life force below the minimum critical level required for the maintenance of the physical body and mind, or feeling the excessive conversion of life energy through the senses, which deteriorates the structure of the sensing organs, in turn results in short circuit of the life force, and it is uncomfortable. Such a sensation is called pain. In short, when the sensation is harmonious and comfortable, it is pleasure. When the sensation is uncomfortable and intolerable, that is pain. There are 5 distinguishing elements in structure of a living being. These are 1 solid, 2 liquid, 3 heat, 4 air, and 5 energy. These have been described in Eastern philosophy as Prithvi, earth, Appu, water, Teyu, fire, Vayu, air, and Akash, energy. In a living being, the solid is physical body and the energy is life force. The liquid, heat, and air are the 3 media which maintain and condition the relationship between body and life force. When the intensity and flow in their circulations within the body are normal and regular, the functions of the body and life force are normal and sound. When there is obstruction, diversion, or exhaustion of liquid, heat, or air by internal or external disturbances, the relationship between the life force and the physical body gets disturbed. When any one of the 3 media, namely blood circulation, heat circulation, and air circulation, is obstructed or diverted, it results in disturbance of molecular arrangement of the physical structure in that particular part. It is the natural function of the life force to maintain all the metabolic routines of the physical body. So, the life force gets more accumulation and aggravation in its function in the affected part. As the insulation around the cells, protecting them against electromagnetic shock of life force, become weak by the disturbance or puncture of a particular part, and as the life force gets physical transformation much more by the abnormal accumulation in that part, short circuit of electricity occurs. Such short circuit of life force, human magnetism, is felt as pain. The more the intensity of short circuit, the more is the pain. When the short circuit continues for longer period, that is called disease. That is pain. When it continues for a longer period and with some other side effect, that is called disease. When the short circuit depletes a major portion of life force and causes the failure of the whole metabolic routines, that is called death. Stock and consumption of life energy. If you raise a question whether the body or life force feels the pleasure or pain sensation, the answer from majority of people will be that the body only feels the pleasure and pain. Certainly it is not so. Thinking that the body feels the sensation is only an illusion. In fact, neither body nor life force can feel any kind of sensation when they are separated. For example, after death, the body cannot feel pain or pleasure. Similarly, the soul or life energy too cannot feel any kind of sensation without a body. But when the life force functions regularly in a body, the same life force, by its psychic projection, feels the sensations of pain and pleasure. As man starts his life with sensual activities and material consciousness, and when he could not know the existence of life force and its functions, he thinks that the body feels the pain and pleasure sensations. About him too, he thinks he is the body, although he is the life force in reality, and the body is only his vehicle, and the mind is his own psychic projection. In man, there is a certain quantity of life force as stock to maintain the metabolic routines and psychic functions. The life force, in fact, is a peculiar magnetism. In the course of its circulation and function in the body, it gets physical transformation as pressure, sound, heat, taste, and smell, and maintains all the intricate networks of physical transformation. A considerable quantity of life force is being consumed continuously. To add to this stock, the life force is being charged from the food, oxygen, and atmospheric energy field. In the process of charging, storing, and consuming the life force, the whole physical system undergoes a labyrinth, delicate, and precise work. Physical transformation of life force. In the course of sensual activities, by induction with any object through his senses, a considerable life force is being transformed and consumed. Suppose a man sees an object. Unless the object is in the light, he cannot see it. A shade in particular degree of light is a must for seeing an object. According to the degree of atmospheric light, his life force is being transformed into light and spreads around the atmosphere through his eyes. When the light of his own life force and the atmospheric light join, the object becomes an obstruction to the spreading force of his light. Such obstruction becomes perception of the object. Normally, a certain quantity of life force in a living physical body is being transformed into pressure, sound, light, taste, and smell, and spreading around. Such a transformation is being aggravated by the atmospheric disturbance or by the induction of an object or action through the senses and become perception. What is the level of aggravation from normal? That is the perception through the respective senses. For example, suppose your life force is being transformed into sweet, degree 1, according to the chemical compound of your body. You eat a sweet cake of sweet degree 10. When you touch the sweet cake with the tongue, the sweet of the cake induces your life force to get aggravated and to raise up its conversion level to 10 degrees. The feeling is 9 degrees of sweet, that is 10 minus 1 equal to 9. 10 is full aggravation, 1 is normal, and net is 9. Why coffee after cake is sweetless? Just after eating the sweet cake, you begin to drink a cup of coffee in which there is 5 degrees of sweet. You cannot pursue the sweet in the coffee. Why? Because the aggravation and conversion of your life force into sweet is 10 degrees by eating the sweet cake. 5 degrees of sweet in the coffee is less, that is minus 5. When compared with your present state of transformation of your life force conditioned by the eating of sweet cake. Similarly, induction of objects or forces with the life energy through the sense always cause aggravation in the conversion of life force. As the function of the mind, life force and physical cells are interconnected. Any kind of aggravation to the life force will affect the whole system and result in harmony, discomfort, or damage according to the degree of force. It is helpful to recall a law of nature that the life energy is subjected to get aggravation according to the atmospheric disturbance. The understanding of the charge, stock, and conception of life force in a living being will help one to know the realities of pain and pleasure sensations very clearly. Charge and consumption. By the fluctuation in the charge or in the consumption, the stock of life energy is always affected. There is a minimum critical level for the stock of life force. When it is more than that level, that intensity induces the man to release the surplus. A kind of enthusiasm or craving to consume the energy particle emerges. In what way he is habituated to consume the energy, the same thought and working force start. He works or enjoys. In the course of his enjoyment, the surplus force is released by physical transformation of life force through the senses and limbs up to the level of surplus energy being exhausted and up to the level that the force of intensity of physical transformation increases more than the tolerable limit of the senses, or when the stock of life force comes down below the minimum critical level necessarily required to maintain the system, such release will be painful. Suppose that 100 units of life force is in a man and that every day the average consumption is 10 units. And suppose also that the average charge is 10 units. One fact is to be kept in mind that the charge, stock, and consumption are always in fluctuation due to atmospheric conditions and the method of living. Desire to physical work or enjoyment. When the stock of the life energy goes down below the minimum critical level, that is 100 units, the physical function or the mental function or both the functions are affected according to the count of the deficit because the pressure of inner force becomes less. When the stock of the life energy is increased and goes surplus in count, a tendency to release the energy starts as a psychic emergence. He wishes to do some physical work or to enjoy some sort of sensual pleasure according to the permissibility of the body and the environmental condition. Example, suppose that the minimum critical level of life energy necessarily required for the maintenance of the body and the mind is 100 units. A surplus of 3 units comes by more charge or less consumption, which makes the total stock into 103 units. The intensity of the pressure of the life force increases accordingly. The results in the psychic tendency to do some physical work or to enjoy certain sensual pleasure to release the surplus, avoid pain, and enjoy pleasure for the purpose of birth. In such a state, a man likes to hear a music. By hearing a music, he releases the surplus energy by converting into sound through the ears. Now the surplus energy is exhausted. He gets satisfaction and pleasure. But if he continues hearing the same music after the surplus is exhausted, hearing the music further begins to bring down the life force below the minimum critical level. There, his hearing of the music becomes discomfort and painful. One more example. Instead of hearing music, he started hearing a drum beating of horrible sounds. Although there is surplus energy, he gets discomfort and pain. Why? The physical transformation of the life energy into sound is intolerable to the sensitive organ ear. The intensity of force in the conversion of life energy deteriorates the structure of the eardrums, so it is felt as painful. If these facts explained above are related to the, the physical feelings of pain and pleasure, all these facts explained above are related to the physical feelings of pain and pleasure. The more important fact is that both pain and pleasure are psychic feelings. They are very delicate and subjective. Psychic feelings and force are more powerful in human personality. It will create, magnify, balance, or neutralize the physical pain or pleasure and sensations. When we know all about the psychic power and the technique of streamlining the mind, we can enjoy the pleasure of life, avoiding pain, so that purpose of birth, which is to develop the spiritual knowledge to its perfection, will be achieved. Be blessed by the divine.